Douglass. Frederick Douglass, once a slave, became a brilliant and powerful leader of the anti-slavery movement. In 1852, he was asked to speak in celebration of the 4th of July.
Fellow citizens, pardon me, and allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I, therefore, called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us? I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, bequeathed by our fathers, is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought life and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn.
Louisiana All American Sports. We are here. You've heard Frederick Douglass at the beginning.
Louisiana All American Sports Show. 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 Louisiana. If the sports you wanna talk about, then listen to the hottest show that's coming out the South. It's Eric Hatfield and Coach Perry Daniels, man. They're gonna sit you down and tell you all about the game and make it plain. 96.9 FM, that's the station. To hear the best sports talk show in the nation. Without hesitation, you should get with this and get your popcorn ready, boy. You better not miss Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana. It's Joker B.
That's what's up.
All right now.
Good morning, Baton Rouge and the rest of the country.
Good morning.
The 4th of July. And if you heard we were celebrating, that's a worldwide lie. All right, here we go. Hey, man, we've got a big full day of sports today, and I can't wait to get into it. Jump it off, Eric.
All righty. Well, look, first of all, good morning, Baton Rouge, and thank you for tuning in to the Louisiana All American Sports Show here on this 4th of July, 2015. And it is a beautiful Saturday morning. Not such a beautiful day necessarily for the administration of the Louisiana High School Athletic Association, though. We've been discussing for several weeks about the negotiations between the Louisiana High School Officials Association and the Louisiana High School Athletic Association over officials' pay. Officials were promised pay raises that would have amounted to about $1,800 per school per year, of about $5 to $10 per contest, depending on contest. This agreement was come to back in 2011. 4 years later, it has still not completely come to fruition. And the latest update on that, I'm basing this on an article from Robin Frambro of The Advocate from a couple of days ago. It looks like there's a possibility that officials will walk out in the 2015-16 school year, and negotiations appear to have reached an impasse. So this is not a good sign at all for high school athletics. And LHSAA Executive Director Eddie Bonney is walking on some eggshells right now, folks.
Yeah, man, this is a sad situation, and I think it is disingenuous of the Louisiana High School Athletic Association to throw out, well, what about the kids? What about the kids?
Wow.
You know, it's up to you. The ball is in your court, LHSAA. The LHSOA has done what it said that you asked it to do. It executed everything, even according to your position. You state that they've done that.
Right.
And now you still don't want to move forward with the money. So, you know, and now you want to say it's about the kids.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's a cop-out.
It's always about the money. It kind of reminds me of
right.
when we had the lockout officials in the NFL, and we had replacement officials. It seems to me that with the Louisiana All American Sports, we've covered a lot of the games this year, and I've seen myself the growth in high school sports and athletics. So if the pay is staying the same, but the pie is getting bigger, you know, you have to, it's been 4 years since you gave these guys $5, $10 a game. It's not a big deal.
They didn't give them anything 4 years ago. They agreed to the raises 4 years ago. So that was already supposed to be an addendum on an agreement that was already however many years old it was. So this is a promise delayed. And, it's unfortunate for the new guy. He kind of stepped into this mess, but he's the one who's got to deal with it. That's what he signed up for.
Right.
And, look, we're not talking about a whole heck of a lot of money. And we had Coach Lamar Thomas, a White Castle head football coach, on last week, and he mentioned a lot of the expenses. You know, football helmets cost $300 a piece, and the recondition them costs $75, $80. I get that, but when you look at the increases in gate admissions times the whatever these, even a 7-member crew in football, you could take that and expect what you make in football for 1 or 2 extra games. You could pay that whole increase for all the 7 major sports that are asking for raises. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of money. $5 to $10 a contest when you're taking in $10 at the gate when you took in 6 or 7 a few years ago, and you have 400 or 500 people. So the bigger schools, 1,000 people showing up every week. That's not asking a whole heck of a lot. And
it's tough to make that call. With an MBA background, it's tough to make that call without looking at the balance sheet.
That's true.
We don't know what those expenses are, and we do know that helmets, because of their seriousness, their importance to the game, their price is going up. And I get what Coach Lamar Thomas was saying. However, just as serious are the rules, the regulations of the game to keep control of the game, and that expense has to go up as well. And they haven't had an increase in a while. So, man, it's a justifiable thing. And you do what you need to do, LHSAA, to find the money. Referees are not getting rich by being referees, not high school referees.
Right. It's a thank you for the time.
Right.
It's not asking much. Perry, I think what Eddie Bonney's going to have to do at some point, when you step back, if you step back and put this to a neutral person on the street, even if you change the name so that an incident, so the innocent are protected, clearly the LHSOA is in the right. They've waited 4 years. They put off, delayed. That's not a hard argument to make. Anybody at some point is going to have to go to the schools and say, you know what, if you're going to be part of our association, find the money. Right. Or do without.
Right.
At some point you got to draw a line in the sand.
The only thing that concerns me is, are there some referees out there that will view this as an opportunity to break the strike and go and register with the LHSAA themselves and garner some money to take advantage of this situation, kind of like strike breakers, kind of like the scabs in the NFL several years back.
Well, check this out. I want to play devil's advocate for a minute. Now, it seems like all of us have been on, of course, the referee side, and I'm on the referee side, but we've covered a lot of games. But
hold on. Let me make something clear.
Go ahead.
We're not on anyone's side.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We're seeing this as journalists, right? Because we have a relationship with the LHSAA as well, too. And we appreciate what they allow us to do. So, but we do have to speak truth when we see it.
Right. And the truth that I was going to say was, to make a point, is I saw a lot of bad officiating this year. I saw I don't know if these guys would maybe need a little extra type of training, because I've seen a lot of bad calls, man, with referees.
Well, but
some of them may not be as qualified from my eye.
That was the argument 4 years ago from the LHSAA, that they wanted to see more qualifications, that they wanted to see more certification. And the Louisiana High School Officials Association has done that. Mm-hmm. They have done that. So you're always going to have some officials that aren't top tier. You are. And they try to assign those guys because they aren't getting paid a lot of money and they are spending their time to come out there, it's not a whole lot of people trying to be officials.
Right.
That's a tough job.
Well, it's pretty much for the love of it.
It is.
That's a tough job.
Because they like it, you know.
So the folks that do come out there, if they are not very good, they try to assign them to games that don't have a whole lot of meaning.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Right.
So.
Well, you want to go to the caller?
That is it Pastor Flowers?
Reverend Flowers. Reverend Flowers has graciously decided to join us to speak regarding some issues that he's having at the church this week. Brother Flowers, welcome to the show.
Oh, hang on. Something bad happened. Uh-oh. Our headphones went out. He can hear us. The audience can hear him, but we can't hear him.
Oh, Dr. Flowers, we can't hear you right now in the studio. And
give us a second.
Yeah, give us a second to work that out as we continue to move on. So I'm just going to ask you to hold tight, good brother. I greatly appreciate what it is that you are doing at your church and the mission that you have coming up this week, the ministry that you have coming up. And we're going to work this out in studio shortly. So just hold on tight as they finagle the wires to see where the short is, and we'll get you up to speed in just a few moments.
Perhaps he can introduce himself to the audience or tell a little bit.
No. In fact, until we get that worked out, guys, let's continue working on that. And Joker and I, we will jump to some NBA news as Eric is trying to work that out. We will discuss some free agency work. Hold on, Dr. Flowers. We're going to get you going in just a second.
Big free agent news, man, that affected me was the DeAndre Jordan to the Dallas Mavericks.
There it is.
DeAndre Jordan to the Dallas Mavericks, you know.
We'll talk about that in just a minute.
We're gonna get
Dr. Flowers, are you there? Fantastic. Thank you for holding on, good brother. All right. So talk to us, man. First, let's talk about the event. Let's go ahead and jump right into that. The name of your church and the location, date, and time of the event that you have coming up.
Thank you guys for having us on today. Happy 4th of July. We are having at New Sunlight Baptist Church, located at 1777 American Street, mid-city, bordering downtown. This week, from the 6th until the 10th, every day, Monday through Friday, what we're calling a Black Lives Matter Symposium. And, of course, we're taking it from the movement that's in America today, Black Lives Matter, where they're addressing the issue of black lives in this country, and the fact that those lives have promise, those lives have purpose, and those lives are to be treated just as valuable as any other life. And we're taking from that, and we're dealing with the issues that are affecting or that affect the quality of life here in the city of Baton Rouge. We're in the mid-city area, so we're dealing with adults for things like the closing of the ER at Baton Rouge General Mid-City, and what that means for the quality of life in the community in which we're located, which is near Baton Rouge General Medical Center, Mid-City. We're going to talk about the public school system. Of course, that's a predominantly black school system now, so what does that mean? How does that affect the quality of life in the city of Baton Rouge, and what can we do to help improve the school system? We're going to talk about, of course, crime, and we're going to talk about police shootings and police brutality. But we're also going to address the fact that we have a problem with crime in our community where we are brutalizing each other and murdering each other. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all this adjudicated property that's in our area and how we can be a part of owning that property instead of just having it in our community where it does become blight. It's affecting crime rates and things of that nature. And we're also going to talk with those folks who may be renting, and they should have an opportunity to purchase a home. So we're going to have someone from the Mid-City Development to come in and talk about that. For the young people, we've got book recorders going to come in to do fingerprinting and IDs. LSU Ag Center is coming in to do some activities. We've got teachers coming in to prepare them for the upcoming school years to make sure they're ready when class starts. For teens, we've got folks coming in to deal with choices and decisions that they're going to make at this age that may affect the rest of their lives to help them make the right decisions. So we've got folks who's coming in who've made the wrong decisions at that age, and it cost them possibly time in prison, and now they're convicted felons, and how that has affected their lives. And they're going to come in and talk to our young people, as well as some folks like Brother Daniels, who made the right choice at a young age, and how that affected his life. So we're just trying to do things in the community as we talk about the quality of life in our community.
Yes, sir. Well, let me say that Brother Daniels made some of the right choices. Let me say that.
The right timing. Yeah.
Brother Daniels made a choice to have his own radio show, and he's on every Saturday morning. So.
Yes, sir. I get it. I get it. But let's dig a little deeper into some of those things, man, because that sounds like a full agenda for the week. And I want people to be aware. Let's give me the times that'll take place again.
It's every day from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. and from 7 until 7:30 we're going to serve a meal. Every day it's a different topic. Again, for adults, on Monday we're going to deal with the land acquisition, the adjudicated property. On Tuesday for adults, we'll be dealing with the health. We'll have a rep from Baton Rouge General Mid-City, as well as a rep from Our Lady of the Lake system, Ms. Sherry Osbury. She'll be there to talk about our options for health. On Wednesday, for the adults, it'll be crime, as well as a young lady by the name of Ms. Tanisha Craig, who is an exercise guru in the city. She's going to come and talk to us about healthy living, and she's actually going to lead us in an aerobics class. So that's going to be fun. Come dressed to work out that day. I'll stand in the back and watch, of course.
Come on now, Rev.
I'm going to say, you don't need all that, Rev. I see all that running you do.
That's my exercise. Aerobics. I can put in 3 miles every other day. That's good enough for me. And on Thursday for the adults, it's going to be our public school system, where our school board member, Evelyn Ware Jackson, as well as Miss Liz, and I hope I get this right, Frischert, will be here to talk to us about our local school system.
Awesome. Reverend Flowers, I happen to be privileged enough to have an intimate relationship with faith-based organizations in the area of the D.C., Virginia, Maryland area. And one of the big differences that I've noticed is that those churches are run more like a corporation. They, you talk about the land around your facility, and a lot of those churches, they own that land and they lease them to major organizations. There's one church I'm thinking of in particular that they own a strip mall and they lease to Enterprise, IHOP, things of that nature. First, am I just naive and don't know of that type of structure in the area? And if it doesn't exist, is that something that's on your radar?
I don't know if it exists. I know that we have some pastors who are interested in doing that type of ministry, and I think it's something that's certainly needed in our area. It's something that we've looked at. We actually attempted to purchase a grocery store a few years back, and it just didn't work out for us. But we were looking at operating that grocery store in the Mid-City area because other than Albertson, which is located at the corner of Foster and Government, there is no grocery store in the Mid-City area. We were looking at doing that. I think it's something that the churches should definitely be involved in. It's an opportunity to be of service to the community, and it's an opportunity to make some money and put that money into good use in the community, put it into good use in ministry. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It is certainly something that we would like to do if the opportunity presents itself at New Sunlight, and I applaud any ministry in this area that's trying to make an effort to make that happen.
Absolutely, because and they employ a lot of their congregation.
That's it.
You
That's
know,
it.
so it's a
That's what it
beautiful
does.
thing when I walk in and see those type of situations. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the rest of the country and some of the things that are going on with faith-based organizations, more specifically churches, and more specifically the African American church across the South. We played at the beginning of this show Frederick Douglass giving his speech on the 4th of July, and one of the things that motivated that is the way that the African American church, when we all are familiar with the Charleston massacre and that situation, but a lot of people are less familiar with what has transpired since the Charleston massacre. Can you speak to the situation of churches being burned throughout the South?
Yeah, and I mean, again, it hasn't been really covered by media, so you've got to kind of dig to get this information. But my understanding that there have been 9 churches that have been set ablaze since the tragedy in Charleston. And of those, 2, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 3, have been classified as definite arson. The others are still under investigation. Maybe natural occurrence, or maybe wiring and things of that nature. And what we must understand is, when it comes to the burning of black churches, this has been a method used to terrorize the African American community.
That's right.
Because the church has always been a place of hope, a place of comfort, a place of not only spiritual empowerment, but also political empowerment, as well as social empowerment. So in order to, what they're thinking is, by burning these churches, is that they're going to quench the fire that emanates from the church. And what they found out is, it's the exact opposite that occurs.
That's right. They think they're going to knock the spirit out of us by blowing up our black church. And they also think, and what I don't respect about it is, it's like a soft target. It's like, you know, if you really want to confront and you really, you know, mad at the black race or the African American, like that guy went in, I won't even speak his name anymore, but the guy who went in and assassinated those people in there, you know, he complained about African Americans taking over the country or raping women or doing this and doing that, then confront them where it's at, you know, go into the urban areas, go into the project.
Go into gang territory.
Yeah, go into, you know.
Deal with some bad dudes.
Yeah, you know, don't go into a church, you know, somewhere where you know is not going to be nobody to confront you or, you know, to that effect. But one thing I heard about that pastor, and I haven't heard no one on the media talked about this. From my understanding, they say that he got in front of the gun, and when
I heard that as well.
The guy was getting ready to kill a couple of the females, he actually got in front of them.
That is his role as the leader.
That's
Isn't
right.
that right, Reverend Flowers?
Captain goes down with the ship.
That's right.
So,
you know, Barack Obama.
But something else, I think, when you say about going into the hood and whatnot, go into the right church. And,
like, come to your church, in other words.
Me. He did his homework. Go into the right one, and this will change as well.
Barack Obama said it well when he said, you know, that the shooter thought he was going to divide people and start a great race war, and he said, oh, but God works in mysterious ways, because if you look at the response and, what did you say, increased fire or passion, I can't really do your words justice, but that's what's going to, you know, the more we get this kind of evil, the more they're going to find out where God is and how his people respond in the fire that's within them.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I went to a church they had metal detectors at the church when I had went to. So
really?
Well, I asked Reb. I asked the woman. I said, well, man, is Reb afraid they're gonna be bringing guns up here? She said, no. Reb don't want nobody bringing no change up here. So.
That was good, Joker. That was good. Dr. Flowers, I mean,
you are wrong.
Reverend Flowers, I know you are an avid sports fan, and folks are probably out there wondering how we're able to, or what's your relevance in this show. if that is on their mind, first of all, they don't listen to a lot of Louisiana All American Sports show.
That's right.
Because we deal with social issues all the time.
Right.
But I do know you are an avid sports fan. Talk to me about your thoughts on free agency in the NBA. Has anything out there really surprised you, or have you been, with all that's going on, have you been able to even look at that?
I have been. I am a Miami Heat fan. Now, I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan from back in the days of Dr. J and Michael Tony and Maurice Cheek.
Yes!
Moses
Dawkins.
Malone and Gerard Dawkins, that crew. All right?
Billy Cunningham.
From that area, but we have been so bad for so long that I'm still a 76ers fan. I kind of follow some other teams now.
Since Iverson.
Jack went to Miami, I started following Miami. So I am a Miami Heat fan. I like the fact that we've retained Dwayne Wade and the point guard. I think that we're going to field a good team this year. With Bosch being healthy, I think we could have been a playoff team and probably made some noise this year. But I think next year we're going to do great. Now,
what happened with LeBron James? How do you feel about LeBron James when he left Miami? I know you became a fan, so.
You know what, man, look, I love LeBron. I love the fact that he holds his destiny in his hands. He's not, he's not a guy that's saying, okay, well, trade me, or, I'm going to do this because, it's best. He's like, look, I'm looking out for me. And I wish more brothers would take that incentive and say, you know what, I'm going to do what's best for me, because you can trade me away tomorrow, and nothing will be said about that. But when I decide to take my destiny into my own hands, it's a problem. So I applaud the guy. I applaud guys that say, hey, I'm going to do what's best for me. I'm going to do what's best for my family, and because this is my life, and I've got to live it. So I love the guy. I don't like the fact that he left us, but I love the guy. I think that what he did was best for him.
Absolutely. Reverend Flowers, we appreciate you joining us on Louisiana All American Sports today, and we appreciate you listening to the show. Thank you so much, good brother. And as you depart, if you could say a prayer for us and our listening audience.
Thank you for having me again. Father, as we gather, Lord, being thankful for this day, the opportunities and possibilities that lie within as we celebrate, God, independence on this day. We actually would touch hearts and touch minds, God, that you would lift us, make us to grow a little closer to you and into your likeness. Bless the show. Bless all of those who are within sound of my voice, and use us all in your service. Bless, protect, and keep. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah, LeBron James, boys, like Paulie from Goodfellas, if you know that famous quote. And good on him.
All right, fellas. Well, he segued us into the NBA, and let's go jump into it full force.
All right. Well, look, they were coming fast and furious. We had a production meeting on Wednesday to discuss NBA free, or Thursday to discuss the show. And I told Perry, I said, it's happening so fast and furious, I can't keep up with it. This morning, I flipped on my computer. Bam! DeAndre Jordan joining the Dallas Mavericks. That's going to give them a huge defensive presence. There we go.
Oh, hold on, right there. I wonder if DeAndre Jordan was walking down a dark street with Mark Cuban crossed to the other side.
Oh, Mark Cuban said he would. but then if he saw Dylan Roth, he crossed to the other side. I said, DeAndre, help!
Right. False pride.
Right.
Yep.
False pride.
Yes, sir. DeAndre Jordan. I'm going to roll down just the big ones, and y'all go ahead and we'll jump into it. DeAndre Jordan joined the Mavericks. Rajon Rondo's taking his act to Sacramento. Robin Lopez to the Knicks.
Okay. Rondo to the Kings.
1 year deal, though.
1 year deal, good deal. He's trying to earn his way back into the upper echelon of the NBA.
That's right.
I think it's a good move for both parties.
He's betting on himself.
He's betting on himself.
That's
I think it's a great
and
move.
He's got some talent.
Parties. I don't know what the Knicks are doing.
That makes two of us. Corey Brewer is going to go back to Houston. Patrick Beverly also back to Houston. The interesting backcourt moves those Rockets are making. Former New Orleans Hornet Marco Bellinelli also going to Sacramento. Give him a little three-point shooting. Dwayne Wade, as the Reverend mentioned, going to the Heat. He basically got a $3.5 million raise over what he would have gotten in his option year, so good for the Flash. Monte Ellis signed a 4-year, $44 million contract with Indy. I think that is just a steal for the Pacers. Draymond Green to stay with the Warriors. Kevin Love, big one, re-signing with the Cavs for big money. The Bulls retained Jimmy Butler. That was a no-brainer. Tyson Chandler going out to the Phoenix Suns. Brandon Knight remaining with the Phoenix Suns. I think that's a very underrated backcourt retention. Danny Green signs a long-term deal, of course. The unibrow, Anthony Davis. We're going to talk about him. Big deal, 5 years, $145 million to stay in New Orleans. Kawhi Leonard with a 5-year deal with the San Antonio Spurs. He'll be sticking around. Damian Lillard, extension with the Trailblazers. And Brook Lopez will stay in Brooklyn, and as the Reverend also mentioned, Goran Dragic to remain in Miami, and the Cavs brought back Iman Shumpert. That was a no-brainer. 4 years, $40 million. I'd say it's a good bargain. So I will turn the mic, pass the mic over to you, Joker.
It's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot, man.
So I said it's
a lot. A lot of it has shocked me, though. You know, a lot of it with the dollars that these guys are getting. Some of these guys.
That's nothing. Wait till next year.
Right.
I know, when they really open it up.
Perry's mentioned this a bunch, though, with the new TV deal and the increased salary cap. You know, Anthony Davis's 5-year, $145 million deal would not have been possible under the existing structure this year. It does not go into effect until 2016. But what you're seeing from him is the tip of the iceberg for the big stars. LeBron might be pushing 50, maybe 40 million a year.
But DeAndre Jordan, number one, to me that shows that a lot of people may not know this, but there's a lot of guys in the NBA that do not like Chris Paul. You know, he comes off as a good guy on a lot of commercials you see to stay far.
So did Michael Jordan.
But to me, that was an argument debate that I had wanted to talk about one day about elite athletes that have that people don't like personally. Sort of like Kobe or Mayweather or even Jordan. I don't know is that a part of greatness? Do you have to have a certain selfishness or ego? But that's another argument. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's interesting proposition.
But Ray John Rondo, of course, like you say, he's betting on himself. But DeAndre Jordan, from what I'm hearing, he didn't get along really with Chris Paul. He doesn't like Chris Paul that much. And even though Chris Paul used to feed him, so they're believing in him at Dallas.
We saw the same thing with Tyson Chandler. That dunk combination with Chris Paul being separated. And that was an awesome
That Crescent City connection was a fool.
Awesome.
Same, right?
There was someone else that we saw with Chris Paul that was separated from him that just really didn't want to play with him, and I can't the name eludes me right now. No, not Wes, who by the way may end up with the Spurs.
Oh, yeah, he did go with the Spurs. They did get him. I think they got him.
David West went to the Spurs?
Yeah. I
wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the news is flying so fast.
Trying to get him LaMarcus Aldridge, but they
I heard that.
I think they go.
And if they get LaMarcus
Aldridge, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's pencil them in.
Yeah.
In the West.
Yeah.
And another one, of course, I think, Dwayne Wade, to give him 1 year, kind of give him his money. I think a steal with Monte Ellis only gets $11 million a year. And here it is with Draymond Green gets $85 million for 5 years, and this is a role player. He's not even a starter.
Well, he's a defensive superstar now. Offensively, he's a role player, but he came in second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and we saw what he did to LeBron. We saw him turn the finals.
He gets $5 million less than Jimmy Butler. But hey, also Brandon Knight gets $70 million. The one that was on the posterized.
Right, by DeAndre Jordan. That's right.
He gets $70 million. Now the big
over how many years?
Over 5 years.
I think, yeah.
5 years.
And well, of course, Kevin Love. Of course, he was going to sign with the Cavs because he's injured, and they offered him $110 million. Of course, I'll sign him.
That's a win-win
because he don't know what he's going to be.
Now, folks out there, don't be baffled by these numbers. They are larger than we're used to seeing. It remains to be seen whether or not this is going to resolve the issue of NBA players being broke once they're done, having no assets once they get out of the league, and a tremendous amount of that is personal responsibility in managing your money and investing your money properly. So,
what about a guy you think? I don't know this for sure. Maybe you have inside information on this. But these guys coming in, especially with the NBA, at 18, 19 years old and making millions of dollars, do they have classes? Do they have mentors to show them about investments? Because it's hard to know about saving your money when you're only 19 or 20 or 21.
The NBA and the NFL have been very proactive about exposing these young men to legitimate, respected financial advisors, guys who are trying to teach them what to do with their money. Look at Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson is a good example. This cat spent a lot of his money and wound up filing for bankruptcy. But he was smart enough, or the people around him were smart enough to take a big chunk of that money and put it into annuities. And the way it was structured, the court couldn't touch it. So he went, blew a lot of dough, went quote unquote broke, and is still getting paid a healthy chunk, like 6-7 figures a year in perpetuity, because he had someone help him invest his money right. Look at Bobby Bonilla. Who we haven't talked about Bobby Bonilla in about 20 years. You know, when he was a star with the Pirates, he went to the Mets. The Mets didn't have the cash on hand to pay him. He said, "You know what? Do this. I want my $25 million, but just pay it to me over 25 years." Bobby Bonilla hasn't hit a home run in about a decade, and he's still getting paid $1 million a year, and will continue to for quite some time. There are people out there, but you can only lead a horse to water. You know, if I'm determined to spend my money on frivolities or make risky investments, ultimately, nothing can stop me, but the resources are out there. There are a lot of stories for all the broke athletes, and there are a lot, and we've seen some of the documentaries. There are resources out there, people trying to help folks, but they're gonna have to make the decision on their own, ultimately, because it's their money and it's their lives.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy world, because just think, coming in, being young, not having a structure at home. You're 20 years old. You may get some financial stuff, but when you get out of being an athlete, you know, just the mental part of that, being able to adjust back to life. You know, not having the spotlight on you. You know, and that's why a lot of guys turn to substances and drugs and stuff to, you know, fill in that void. So it goes a lot deep, you know, to why these guys become broken mentally and body beat up physically, and, you know.
So the real value, and I've always said this, the real value of sports is not in the skill development. It's in the mental development. And we as coaches have to make sure that we instill character and values and principles in young men when they're young, so that they do not associate their full identity with that sport.
Right.
Basketball is something that you do. That is not who you are. And you have to approach it that way, so that you won't end up, once the lights are turned off, once you're no longer on a roster, that you won't end up looking for character or limelight in other ways.
I know what you're saying, like a person, like just your personal validation, your self-esteem.
Right. It's larger than the sport.
Right.
And that's not
self-worth.
That's your self-worth. Thank you, Eric. And it's not just for athletes. That's even the layman person on your jobs. You are not, your self-identity, your self-worth is not wrapped up into that 9 to 5 you have every day. It better not be.
And I've made that mistake in my younger years, and a lot of people do, especially those who enjoy success.
That's right.
You know, or especially early. It's true. That those are keep preaching on, Perry.
Let you down in a minute.
Absolutely.
And you'd be like, man, I thought like,
no, man, you can't turn all that over to them.
Right.
So our basketball players, our football players, all of our athletes have to take that same approach. In fact, the New England Patriot tight end,
Rob Gronkowski,
hasn't spent a dime of his salary.
Come on.
That's because dude's up in the club getting free drinks.
He hasn't spent a dime. He said he lives off of his endorsement.
Really? Good for Rob. Wow.
He wears the same jeans that he wore in high school.
No way.
Yes.
You're joking.
Oh, it's a very interesting article that I read last week regarding him.
I'm shocked because because when you think of Gronk, besides catching touchdown passes, the first thing you think of is dude partying in the club with his shirt off. I'm thinking this guy's a spendthrift.
The bad dancing.
I'd have never guessed. Yeah, very bad dancing. I'd have never guessed that in a million years.
Hey,
not at all.
Adult film stars wearing his jersey.
I bet you that goes back to his family or some type of family structure or coach.
Right, or both.
That was there or both. And so it just goes to show you that how much more important it is. Speaking of sports and these athletes, we was talking about LeBron James and the free agents. Have you heard of any of these athletes taking a stand with the shootings or the fires or anything? Now that I think of it. No,
and this is why I think that is. One, we have to look at our season. So you don't have a spotlight. The spotlight is slowly turning to the diamond,
right.
To where those guys aren't as impactful into society when they come out and speak.
A lot of Latin players.
Yeah,
you know.
so they're not really interwoven with society as much as football and basketball.
Correct. Correctamundo.
You know, so if it was a different season, then possibly you may hear some come out. But it's tough to come out and because you can't affect it. Why? You know, we do that because we are sports people and our voices, our skill, this is what we do.
Right. Do you think location, you know, by South Carolina, you think if it was an area where they had a professional team?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If it was in Ohio, I think LeBron would say something.
If it was about 90 miles to the north in Charlotte, I'm sure you'd have heard a lot. Michael Jordan and
wouldn't say a word.
Cam Newton. And,
Michael Jordan.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Bad example. Bad example.
He wouldn't say a word.
But you'd hear more activity, I think, is where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of action there on the NBA circuit. We have this weekend. It is the 4th of July, and it's the celebration of America. And America, the women are gonna represent on the world stage in the World Cup as they take on Japan in the championship round. This is actually a clash of titans. These two teams met in 2011. It was decided in penalty kicks. The American women have won 2 World Cups in the past. One in 1999, and the last, I want to say, was maybe 2007, if I'm not mistaken. This is going to be a clash of titans, and you know it's funny because we're a football mania, football-driven country and a football-driven society. But I'll tell you, when soccer, number one, is growing in popularity, number two, when America's on the world stage, we all become fans and experts. And I'm happy to see that the women, as they have the last couple of times, are getting their fair share of attention. And you have people gathering in sports bars and in restaurants watching these games. And it's going to be a revenge match, hopefully, for the U.S. These are two giants in women's soccer, and I'm just looking forward to seeing the action. I think these girls, they play their tails off, and they really they're going to give us a treat if you haven't been following so far. Hopefully we don't have to get bailed out by a ball being kicked into our opponent's own goal this time around. But hey, you take the wins how they come.
Hey man, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, hey, I just wanted to express also that he's talking about the female soccer, and I'm a big fan of female tennis, and it's Wimbledon time. And
yeah.
That's where I was going.
Oh, that's where you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad the women are on the world stage.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see these women perform on the world stage. Venus is playing Serena today.
And let me tell you, that is something that is worth talking about. It's so interesting. Serena is on the cusp of making history. A single season Grand Slam. I mean, she is on a tear that just in sports, I can't even think of examples right now. Maybe Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, but even more than that because it's over a period of a couple of years, and she's 34 years old.
Exactly.
At a time when she should be tapering off, and of course her sister's a little older. The irony, this could put Venus back on the map, but if it does, it would, thwart her sister pulling off something extremely rare in any individual sport. It's really incredible. What Serena, the tear she's been on, and what she's doing at her age, it's great television, and it's definitely something filling the void until football season starts up.
There's no way Venus is going to beat Serena.
I don't think so.
There's no way.
You ever thought Serena would let her win? What is Pop's name?
I can't remember the man's name, but
Mr. Williams would have a fit.
Right.
Now Venus, he's sitting down now. Venus, I know Daddy loves you both.
Right.
But right now, I need you to take one for the team.
That's right.
I don't think she has a chance.
Do you think they ever, just like Venus ever let her win, or Serena let?
I don't think so. I think they really compete.
Maybe she'll talk about that.
No, I heard her soundbite yesterday after her victory yesterday at Wimbledon, and she said this: "She was my sister yesterday. She's going to be my sister tomorrow, next week, next year. So we're going to go out and compete against each other, and regardless of what happens,
she's going to be my sister.
She's my sister."
Right.
So
I try to whip my brother's butt, and I think all of us in here would too, on the same circumstances. Competitors compete.
Right. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Let's get to our not really a musical selection, but we're going to take a quick dive into some KRS-One, and I'm going to play it and then offer a commentary and then play it again.
Wow.
False pride. So, silly mortals, that Confederate flag that you claim is heritage and pride.
Not pride.
Well, it's a false pride. And the youth of Ferguson, the youth of Baltimore are telling you that they're hungry, that they smell the bread that America has, and you refuse to feed them just because you view them as bums that aren't purified.
Wow.
And it's all about false pride.
You know, you talk about that Confederate flag. I want to give a shout out you may never, ever, ever, ever hear me give again. And hear me out here. I'm going to give a shout out to the Klan. You know why? They're rallying this weekend in South Carolina.
Wow.
To protest the proposition of taking down the Confederate flag. And they're going to show up in their little hoods and their little flags. And I'm glad they're showing up. You know why? Because it is a visible, clear representation of what that flag's. That's kind of hard to argue around. And do you want to be on their side? These are the guys you want to be aligned up with, because they're the ones who are coming out full force to defend that symbol, to talk about the heritage or whatever. Is that your heritage? Is that what you want to be associated with? It's your call, people. I think most decent people don't.
But it's amazing, Eric. We make that assumption that most people don't. However, everyone, when these type of incidents occur, everyone's upset, appalled, shocked, but yet they keep occurring.
But they keep occurring.
And then, even though we've arrested this individual who did what he did in Charleston, now we have churches burning in southern states. And in 1995, they also said that they were electrical, that they were weather-related, until they dug a little deeper.
Right.
And ended up arresting over 100 people.
Right.
So yes.
Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted. You're going to get that narrative at the beginning. Part of that is crowd control. Part of that is crowd control. And you're going to get that until they get a deeper answer. But it seems awfully coincidental.
Right. Look at the timing of that.
Awfully coincidental that the only churches in the South that seem to be susceptible to lightning and electrical malfunctions are historically African American churches. That just seems suspect.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody with an IQ north of a walnut realize. I mean, you can play the denial game. It's not just a river in Egypt, but that's not a coincidence.
Right. We know what it is, and to me, it's just getting to the point, man, where to me it's just like they're poking that to bear. You know, I've had a few discussions with people on my job, a couple of people that I know of, Caucasians, and we'll talk, have a debate, and a real serious agree to disagree or whatever. But you know what I told them? I said, now, yes, they always try to go back to the black on black thing. Oh, we're black, of course, all right, you got that.
It has nothing to do with the subject, as usual.
It has nothing to do with the subject, with deflection, but okay, you got that. We have 90%, we kill up each other. I said, but have you ever seen a black guy go inside of a white church and shoot 9 people? Or you ever heard of black people going around burning white churches? Have you ever heard of the systematic terrorism of a black institution that does that to a white people?
The liberal media covers it all up.
That's right. Black cops.
In about 7 minutes, we have coming up on this station,
Noel Jackson
with Music Satisfaction here on 96.9 FM WHYR-LP, Baton Rouge Community Radio. Go ahead, Joker.
That's right. But, so that was the difference to me. It's like, yes, we have our own problems, that we have our own issues that we have to deal with, but we don't go to the point where we'll walk into church and shoot 9 innocent people, or go to a school and shoot up a school, or bomb a marathon, or do this Sandy Hook, different types of things.
Let's not extend ourselves too much.
Right.
You know what I mean, though.
Here in Baton Rouge, you do have
Derek Todd Lee and Lee Boy Malvo. I mean,
and the gentleman who shot up the Navy Yard in 2013.
I mean, it happens.
It does happen.
It does happen, but not to the extent of what we've seen. Now, it's apples and oranges, because we can go all the way back to all the terrorism that we have been afflicted upon. But
But it's not about that.
It's not about that. Exactly.
About that. Here's what it's about, man. It is about justice and everyone sharing in the pie.
Being
America,
fair.
America is rich beyond our imaginations. And I believe the president spoke to this so eloquently during the eulogy. And it's something, not that anyone's anti-American. No, that's not the case. We love America just as much as anyone else. We see what it could be.
Right.
We see how great it could, how much better it could be. So I don't want anyone to get that twisted. Again, let's listen to KRS one more time, and then we're going to do our last tidbits of sports and get on out of here.
Wow.
Pretty good poetry, a pretty straightforward message. Just keep that in mind, people. Silly mortals, as Perry would say, when you're going about your business. Sometimes, we're all people. Real quick, since this is 4th of July and we're celebrating some America, the All-Star game is right around the corner. It will be not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday. But the All-Star starter selection show will take place tomorrow night, so that's being solidified. Here are the leading vote getters as of last Monday. From the San Francisco Giants, Buster Posey at catcher, Paul Goldschmidt at first base of the Diamondbacks, second base D. Gordon of the Miami Marlins, third base Matt Carpenter of the St. Louis Cardinals, shortstop the ageless Johnny Peralta of also the St. Louis Cardinals. In the outfield, Bryce Harper of the Nationals, Giancarlo Stanton, who will not play because of the injury of the Marlins, Matt Holliday, another ageless wonder of the St. Louis Cardinals. In the American League, the leading getters, Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals behind the dish, Miguel Cabrera, who's also injured. I don't know if he's going to play at first base for the Tigers, Omar Infante of the Royals at second base, Josh Donaldson of the Blue Jays at third base, Alcides Escobar of the Royals at shortstop. Mike Trout, probably the best player in the game of the LA Angels in the outfield, along with Lorenzo Cain of the Royals, and Alex Gordon of the American League, defending American League champion Kansas City Royals, and Nelson Cruz of the Mariners are the leading DH vote getters. So keep your eyes on that. We'll have a whole lot more of baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet coming up in the coming weeks, but it's getting to be about that time.
Alex Rodriguez got his 3,000 hit.
And it was a home run.
And it was a home
mashed
run.
Wow. He's making a comeback this year.
He has made a tremendous comeback.
Seems a lot more likable this year now that he's quiet and playing well and laying off the drugs.
Winning does it.
Winning will do that all the time. It cleans everybody up in sports.
Also, Louisiana All American Sports is looking for a board engineer, someone that can manage the board for us on Friday nights between the hours of 7 and approximately 10. So if you are interested, contact either Eric Hatfield. Eric, you want to provide your number? Is that?
Yeah, sure. You can reach me at area code 504-616-8167. That's 504-616-8167. Or look up Eric Hatfield on Facebook, or look up Louisiana All American Sports on Facebook or Twitter.
That's right. Leave a message. Come join the team. Be an intern and get in with us in Louisiana All American Sports.
It's about that time, fellas. ADT, JNS, love you.
Have a good afternoon.
Hail to the King and Lords of Lords. May He protect us from the evil. Hail to the King, Lords of Lords.